Hello there, Internet. Hello there to YouTube, Rumble, Odyssey, and anywhere else that this may end up. I thought I would talk about Pokémon. Because Pokémon is one of those games that I've spent a fair bit of time with. Now, there is a section of YouTube that people may or may not be familiar with called PokeTube. It's amazing how many sections are. There's BookTube, there's PokeTube, there's probably a tube for everything, isn't there? But there is a section called PokeTube. I will warn you, if you watch any PokeTube videos, you will get recommended absolutely nothing else ever again. I have learnt this. My recommended page is just Pokemon videos. I spent, maybe an hour and a half watching a couple of videos about Pokemon. I was playing a Pokemon game. I thought it was interesting. I was in the Pokemon mood. And, yeah. Now YouTube thinks all I care about is Pokemon. Which is annoying. But as games go, Pokemon is one of the interesting games out there. It's the best-selling franchise of all time for a good reason. That said, I have problems with Pokemon. And this is what this video is. This is my problems with Pokemon. I've got 5 pet peeves that I'm going to discuss. And hopefully you'll agree with at least a few of them and find them interesting. So, yeah. Let's get into it. By the way, if you're wanting to play Pokemon and you're aware that Pokemon is really not all that interesting anymore because it's easy as all hell, I highly recommend Pokemon ROM hacks. There is a ROM hack I'm playing at the moment called Radical Red. It is considered one of the harder ROM hacks. There are a few others out there, but Radical Red is the one I've been playing. It updates the Fire Red game to modern standards, so it's got all the modern upgrades. It's got every Pokemon up to Gen 8 included, so that's nice. And it's got genuinely difficult battles in it. You will actually be tested. The gym battles are hard. I will say now, I didn't play the later gens, so I was not familiar with how terrain works. You know how you can do weather in Pokemon? You can also do terrain. You can turn terrain into a psychic terrain, or a misty terrain, or an electric terrain, and things like that. I think there's only 4 of them in total, so it's only certain types who benefit from it. But one of them is electric, and one of the terrains that you face is electric terrain in the 3rd gym, Lieutenant Surge's gym. And, yeah. It took me a long time to realise that Defog was actually a move I really needed, because my team could not do a damn thing with all of his Pokemon having their attack and special attack boosted, their speed boosted. The electric terrain made it so that everything he was throwing at me was so much more effective, and everything I was doing did almost nothing. I was bouncing off him. I must have lost a dozen times before I realised that I was just going to keep bouncing off him until I figured out what the hell to do about terrain. So I actually I googled the electric terrain and realised that you can either replace it with another terrain or you can use a move like Defog to remove the terrain. And once I knew that, I thought, oh, wait a minute, I picked up a TM for Defog, taught it to a couple of my Pokemon, and was able to beat him. So that was nice. That was a very interesting battle, and honestly, they've all been like that. I haven't beaten a single one of the gym leaders first time, and that's saying something. When you go to the very first gym battle and you don't beat it first time, that puts things into perspective. So yeah. Anyway, these are my 5 pet peeves. So number 5, I've got them written down and reading them off because I want to make sure I remember them. And I've got a couple of notes and things I want to mention just to get my point across. So number 5 is evolution lines that make no sense. This is one thing that really annoys me about Pokemon. There are a few evolutions that I think should happen that didn't. Bouffalont should have been an evolution of Tauros. They just should. Look at these pictures. That's clearly a good excuse for an evolution line. They're both normal types, they both don't evolve. That is so annoying. But the worst case of this is Carbink and Diancie. The Pokédex entries for Diancie even say it's a transformed Carbink. Why does Carbink not evolve into Diancie? It should. It just should. If I was making my own ROM hack, this is the first thing I'd be changing. Carbink would evolve into Diancie. Just without question. This is happening. So yeah, that's the first example. But there's other things about evolution that annoys me, and that is the way evolution was portrayed in the anime and the way it's portrayed in the games don't match. A great example is Slowpoke. Slowpoke evolves when a Shelder bites its tail. That is the trigger. So why does Slowpoke just evolve at a certain level without any Shelders in sight? You can be in the middle of a desert, you can be in the middle of a cave, not a single Shelder anywhere nearby. Suddenly, there's a shell on his tail. How? How does that happen? I feel that if you're going to evolve them, make Slowbro more powerful, like significantly increase the power to justify the fact that you need 2 Pokemon for it. And make it so the only way to evolve a Slowpoke is to level it up while you have a Shelder of a specific level in your party. That makes a Slowbro. And then make Slowbro significantly boosted in power. Make it almost pseudo-legendary in power. And that way it'll be worth it to raise 2 Pokemon so that you can combine them to make 1. I think that's fantastic. Again, there's a few there that I feel have a similar issue, and that's Dugtrio and Magnemite. Again, these are all Gen 1 Pokemon at this point. Right, I've got issues with others that do the same thing, but the Gen 1 ones have stood out for me for a long time because they've had a long time for me to think about them and to really get bugged by them. But Dugtrio and Magnemite are triples of their unevolved form. So why on earth does it just evolve into that? Why didn't they come up with something interesting? Why not make it so that in order to get a Dugtrio, you need to have 3 Diglets? If you had, instead of having Dugtrio evolve at whatever level it evolves, maybe you have 3 different Diglets, and all 3 Diglets have to be at the set level. And once the 3rd Diglet hits that level, and it reaches, say, I don't know, maybe it's level 24. It hits level 24, whilst 2 other Diglets, all at level 24, are in the party. If you could put that into the system, there's no reason you couldn't do that. That's an easy enough programming line. If all 3 are level 24, they all combine into 1 Dugtrio that's level 24, and then you significantly boost Dugtrio's level to make it base stats to make it worth raising 3 different Diglets to make 1. Again, because you're combining Pokemon. You can do this with Magnemites as well. 3 different Magnemites, you raise them together, they all combine to form Magneton. And this would make it so there's a good argument for Dugtrio, Magneton, Slowbro to be on par with like a pseudo-legendary, or even a legendary in power. It would make them something worth seeking out, something actually worth doing. And that's something that I feel that Pokemon doesn't have. Everything seems to level up the same way. They either level up through a stone, through reaching a set level, or through a trade. And those ways seem boring when there's so many different ways described in the anime and so many ways hinted at in the game that it would be nice to have to actually think about things and plan things in order to get really powerful forms. And I think that's something they've missed out on. So yeah, that's my first pet peeve. Pet peeve 4. I mean, this is not really a countdown, but I mean, all except number 1. Number 1 is the one that annoys me the most. But number 4, annoying Pokemon appearances. There's a few that really annoy me. I don't like the way certain ones look too human-like Mr. Mime and Jinx. They look just a bit too human-like. But I can get beyond that. I'm not a fan of the likes of Sock and Throw. They look like they're wearing clothes. A lot of people don't like that. I agree with them. I don't like Pokemon that have clothes involved. I'm okay with object Pokemon. The ones that are just an object that with googly eyes attached. It's not quite that bad, but I quite like the way that they're doing that. So long as they make it fit within the lore. If you can justify why these Pokemon resemble objects, then I'm okay with it, because it's consistent in the universe. Like, they are masquerading as these items for evolutionary benefit. And it works within the series, I think. There's enough of them that it's justifiable. So I'm not so bothered by it. I feel some of them are better than others, but I'm not so bad. I'm not so annoyed by Objectmon. The one that annoys me the most, and again, it's another Gen 1. It's Gen 1 Pokemon annoy me a lot. There's a lot of problems with Gen 1. I played a lot of Gen 1 when I was a kid. They've stuck with me for a while, and these are issues I've had mainly with Gen 1 for a good long while. And that's Dragonite. I posted this on the Gilded server. Dragonite looks so derpy, so stupid. Why on earth did they make it look this stupid? This picture here, right, is a perfect example of what Dragonite should be. Just look at what Dragonair looked like and tell me that this fan art is not a better representation of what Dragonite should look like. It's just better in every way. And I don't understand why they chose to make it this derpy little creature with a colour scheme that doesn't match its pre-evolutions. It doesn't follow the line. It just doesn't fit. It seems silly. Like, Milotic looks like a better end evolution for this line than Dragonite does. It's just so out of order. It doesn't fit. And worse still is in the anime, they gave it this stupid thing where it carries a purse around. What is this? What is this, a Teletubby? Or a Pokemon? It has always annoyed me, and to this day, I have never used a Dragonite. I have always given an Everstone to my Dragonair. I will not evolve it into that derpy fuck. I will not punish my Dragonairs. They are sleek, slender, gorgeous-looking creatures. They do not deserve to turn into Diabetes, the dragon Pokemon. They do not deserve to turn into Barney the dinosaur's retarded cousin. Just no. So that annoys me. Number 3. This one's stupid, I'm aware, but it still annoys me. And that is canonical weight and height. Now, I actually don't have a problem with a lot of them. Like, I've got a couple of them written down here. People often complain about the likes of Charizard and Nidoking. And they do have really, really small canonical heights. Nidoking is less than 5 foot tall, and Charizard is only 5'7", I believe. These are really small for what they are, but I'm not against them. I think that they still work for the themes of Pokemon. It means that you can have these nasty, beefy-looking creatures, but they're still small enough that you can reasonably battle them in a building. There are some that are ridiculous in size. Ferret should not be this fucking huge. This is wrong. Look at this. This is it next to the player character, which admittedly is always a 10-year-old child, so it's still way too damn big. Like, Ferret should not be that big. That's terrifying. That is disgustingly large for a ferret. No, just no. Oh my god. Could you imagine if you saw something like that? It's as big as a tiger. So yeah, some of them are just wrong. But the one that annoys me the most is weight. The weight on most of these creatures are so very, very out. It's as if no one at Game Freak understands that ice and rock weigh a lot. If you have a Pokemon that's like this big and it's made of a rock, it doesn't weigh 20 pounds. It weighs a hell of a lot more than 20 pounds. Yeah. It's silly, the weight that they have. They have Pokemon that are bigger than me, weighing less than me. No, just no. So some of these ones really do annoy me. It's a silly thing. It's a tiny, insubstantial little thing in the game, if you think about it. But it matters to me because I feel like the only way we can visualize these things is through the Pokédex entries. We're not really gonna get much more than that. And if they're gonna have the weight so far out, it makes them feel like they're just inflatables. Right? So I'd rather they focus on actually getting a more realistic size and weight ratio set up, and for some of them, make the sizes better. I'm okay with the bug Pokemon being really oversized, like a spider Pokemon being like this big. Is fine. I have no issue with that. Even a spider Pokemon as big as like a small dog is fine with me, because it's supposed to be a monster. It's supposed to be fighting. But what we don't want is something that's 2 foot high in this fight, and then something that's 50 foot high. That's just stupid. Because they can't fight. They can't possibly fight in the same league. So we need things to be within a certain range, I think. I would say any Pokemon that's bigger than about 15 foot is too big. And anything that's smaller than... honestly, smaller than a pet cat is too small, I think. That's how I would go. So, next one. Number 2 is power levels, lore, and consistency. This one does bug me. Not as much as the last one, but this one does bug me. So, power levels, lore, and consistency. So, this is not God. I'm sorry, no. Arceus, whatever the fuck, however you're supposed to say this. This is not God. This is a goat stuck in a fence. Sod off. It is just not. It's just not a god. I'm an atheist, and I find the idea of calling this piece of shit a god deeply offensive. Then, taking into account that a 10-year-old can then catch this thing in a Pokeball and make it fight in this universe's equivalent of a cockfighting ring, it just highlights how not godlike this thing is. This isn't a god; it's a daft goat that got trapped in a fence that somehow has the ability to attune to magic plates that allows it to beat different elements. That a 10-year-old can jam in a magic ball and make fight in a dogfighting tournament. That's what this is. It's not fucking God. They need to take the stakes from Pokemon and bring them right down. Right, stop with all these Pokemon that are world-shattering creatures, things that have control over time and space and fucking God. Right, it's ridiculous. Anything even close to this power level is way too powerful. These are supposed to be magic monsters. They are not supposed to be goddamn deities. Yeah, the power level of Groudon, Kyogre, Regigigas, Dialga, Palkia, they are all way too high. Regigigas is a big golem creature. Apparently it moved tectonic plates. It's no bigger than a truck. No, it didn't. No, it fucking didn't. It did not move tectonic plates. Not a chance in hell. All of the Pokemon that are supposedly powerful enough to be able to destroy an entire mountain, or the fighting types that can reduce a boulder to dust with a single punch. No, they can't. They can't. I know they can't, because when they punch my electric mouse, it just goes, oof, and keeps fighting. So, they can't do that. These entries are so wrong. They are so wrong that it's laughable. Someone needs to go in and add just a little bit of fucking restraint to Pokemon. Because it is terrible. It is just terrible. It makes it laughable. It makes it hard for people to actually enjoy it if they care about lore. Because the lore of these games is so inconsistent and so lacking in a real suspension of disbelief. You can't suspend disbelief when you can literally catch God in a Pokeball and make him fight against electric mice for your amusement. No. Just no. And my last one, right, I'm going to try and keep this short. But I think this one's really, really good. And that is the lack of the importance of terrain in the game. This is my one real gameplay issue. And that is, I want the terrain you're fighting on to matter. Now, they've done this before. In X and Y, they included something called sky battles, which you could only join in if the Pokemon could fly, or if it had the ability to levitate. Now, I would also extend this to a couple of others, because Mewtwo and Mew could clearly fly, and I believe they were excluded from sky battles, which they shouldn't be. They can clearly fly. So there should be like a checkbox or something in the stat sheet for each Pokemon on whether or not they can join sky battles. And for Mewtwo, it should be ticked yes. And it should not necessarily be because they're flying type, because not necessarily every flying type would be able to. But anyway, as I see it, sky battles were a really interesting way of adding a little bit of variety to it, because you had to involve Pokemon with a specific limitation. And because of that, all the battles that were sky battles were optional. I'm not a fan of that. I wish they weren't. I wish the sky battles was just something you had to deal with. Like, you were told in advance, you're going to need to have someone who can fight in sky battles, because these places are going to require sky battles to take place. This gym is going to be a sky battle gym, that kind of thing. But let's expand on it. Let's have ocean battles be a specific thing as well. Now, the way I do it is anything that can take place in a sky battle can also join an ocean battle, because it can fly over the water. And anything that can learn surf can join in an ocean battle. And this is for when you're surfing, or if you're right next to the coast. It's an ocean battle. And ocean battles cannot be joined by creatures that don't learn surf, because, let's face it, if you've got a Geodude, which is just a rock, and it can be hurt by just a stream of bubbles, if you go, Geodude, I choose you, and throw it, and it goes, boom, and sinks into the fucking water, it's dead! It's dead! If water hurts this thing, you've just fucking killed it. How is that thing fighting? It can't stand on anything. You don't have anywhere for it to stand. You don't have any way for it to attack the enemy. So yeah, I would have ocean battles be a thing. I think that would be a lot of fun. I would then go a step further and have water-reliant Pokemon. Fish Pokemon, specifically, should not be able to fight on land. They just shouldn't. If I throw out Goldeen, it should flop around and do nothing. It should, if you use a fish Pokemon or a water-dependent Pokemon on land, it should do nothing but use Splash every turn. Right? It goes out, it splashes. It's ineffective. And that's it. That's what it should do, because that's how these Pokemon would behave. They are fish. They need water, which means that now all the abundance of water Pokemon are now kind of separated out into the ones that can be on land and the ones that have to be in the water. Water Pokemon are going to be, there's going to be a nice section of them that are going to be capable of being on land and in water, which will make them very, very viable for your team. But it gives you a lot to explore, and it gives you a reason to surf and go out into the water and possibly bring back the dive mechanic and things along those lines, where maybe if you dive, only the creatures that can learn surf can join the fight, or the ones that can fly, because you're now under the water, they can't take part anymore. Maybe that's a good way of making these biomes different. I would say another one that I'd include is an indoor battle, where, to go back to one of my previous ones, the height and weight of the Pokemon would really matter. Maybe you set a limit of 7 foot. I don't know, 7 foot, 8 foot, somewhere around there. And any Pokemon bigger than that is not allowed in the indoor battles. Any Pokemon that is over a certain weight, I'm not sure how heavy we'll set it, maybe 800 £, 600 £, I don't know, somewhere around there. Somewhere where it could reasonably be argued that thing might break floorboards. Right? Then that can't be used. So you would go into a battle where you'd be in a building, but you're not going to be able to use your giant dragon Pokemon or your huge rock Pokemon, because if you go, I don't know, Snorlax, I choose you, straight through the floorboards. That should be an interesting battle mechanic. And I know they can do it because they did it with Sky Battles. I suggest that if they had ocean battles, if they had water-dependent Pokemon, if they had indoor battles, and they had different categories of Pokemon, where you can only use certain Pokemon in certain venues and in certain biomes, that would make the game 10 times more interesting. You would start using more. You would have your surf team, and you'd have your indoor team, and your outdoor team, and your Sky Battle team, and you'd have reasons to keep going back to the box and changing up who's in your team in order to make them all fit. I think it would make the game more interesting, and that is my last pet peeve, is that they introduced Sky Battles and then they never brought them back after X and Y. They've never thought about the fact that Charmander has a flame at the end of its tail. If it goes out, he dies.
And if its tail flame goes out, it'll die.
But it's perfectly fine to be surfing on the water and go, Charmander, I choose you, fucking swim, bitch! I don't think so. I don't think that works. It doesn't fit the lore in the slightest, does it? So, that's my 5 pet peeves on Pokemon. Hopefully this was entertaining. I've got other gaming pet peeves, and I'm sure I'm going to talk about those in future videos, but I'm going to call it there. And thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.